Isn't he an anti-vaxxer?
An anti-vaxxer?
I believe so, yeah. Are they like you?
In a lot of ways.
Yeah. Do you think he would get elected in Texas being anti-gun?
Could this be a new low for The View? Joy Behar was crawling up Matthew McConaughey's last nerve with these dumb-loaded questions, but the way he shut her down reveals something much more sinister about this on-air political ambush than most people realize. Subscribe to Elites Exposed for more, and just take a look for yourself.
I saw you, not in person, but on TV, was at the men's final at the U.S. Open.
Yes.
You were in Djokovic's box.
Yes.
Oh. And you were the first hug he gave when he came up.
Yeah.
Do you guys go way back? What's the connection there?
Look
at that.
He's first friends with my wife.
Oh.
Camilla right there. Look at her. Yeah, look how happy she is.
Oh.
And then I got to know him through her, and we've had a couple of dinners along the way, and I'm a big fan.
Yes.
I mean, what a surgeon and a warrior.
Yeah.
And the resilience of what he's done, it's amazing. So anyway, yeah, I was happy to be in his box. Got to sit behind his parents, which was really awesome to see them when he brings them up and where they started.
Isn't he an anti-vaxxer? I believe
An anti-vaxxer?
I believe so, yeah. Just saying.
Way to bring it down, Joy. I'm just kidding.
And if even her fellow hosts have to stop Joy Behar, you realize just how absurd that political bait was, even for The View. Because, by the way, Matthew McConaughey had actually been invited to talk about his new children's book at the time, and for the unveiling of his wax figure in a later segment. Nothing about this appearance was meant to be remotely political. And yet it just crawls up my skin how she tried to turn Matthew McConaughey into a pretty rubber stamp for her own dumb political binaries. And I think the fact that he didn't even bother answering tells me he probably did an eye roll inside in response. Because when he's in a slightly more respectable setting than The View, Matthew McConaughey has actually called out this kind of boiling down of complex political ideas into a false binary choice. A choice where you're either anti-something or for it.
Look, celebrities and a lot of people in my industry are mostly lean to the left. Sure. Many of them lean further into what I would call an illiberal left. A lot of us are guilty of the same thing we're talking about from the other side, a default opening invalidation of the other side. We cannot lead. My industry cannot lead with, well, all hierarchies are tyrannical, period. No, that's not a default fact. We can't lead with, well, if you don't believe in abortion, then you're anti-woman. We can't lead with that. We can't lead with, well, the word means more and is more important than your intent. We can't lead with that. So we have to open that conversation with our opening statements and not invalidate a moderate or conservative view out of the gate, which we're guilty of doing to an extent.
And remember, in modern Hollywood, where celebrities love to virtue signal on issues they know nothing about, just being a common-sense centrist is an act of rebellion. And I have to say, Matthew McConaughey's name sits on a very small list alongside people like Denzel Washington, who've refused to let themselves become empty talking heads or pretty-faced rubber stamps for the establishment message. But this time, I think Matthew's patience was tested like very few times in his career when Sonny Hostin and Joy Behar tried to box him into an anti-gun and anti-Second Amendment talking point.
I want to applaud you for being so outspoken against violence and gun violence in particular. And you're Texan, and you spoke so passionately at the White House last year in the wake of that shooting at Robb Elementary in your hometown of
That's why we're
Uvalde.
wearing these little pins,
yeah.
right?
In 2021, you considered a run for governor of the state of Texas. Do you think political office is in your future? Can you see that?
If it's where I would deem myself to be most useful,
Yeah.
yes.
Do you think you would get elected in Texas being anti-gun?
Do I think I could get elected in Texas being anti-gun? One thing about if me in politics is to give you a direct statement right there is playing a game that I'm not interested in playing. To give you a direct statement right there.
And that honestly has to sting, being so subtly put back in your place by Matthew McConaughey. With a pause, a raised finger, and him repeating the question so Joy Behar could hear how tone-deaf she just sounded. It's a masterclass on how to refuse a loaded question without coming off as confrontational.
Did you see how Matthew McConaughey handled that? He intentionally redirected it back around and shut down the question. He wasn't ready to answer it, and it really wasn't the time to ask that question.
This guy's storytelling and the way he talks and all these movies he's been in, Lincoln Lawyer, there's a reason why the guy's loved. Now, if he gets into politics, it'd be very interesting, his positions, if he got into it. Because I don't know if he'd be a Republican or Democrat. Both sides, I think, won't like some of his policies.
And Patrick's right. Matthew's not the kind of guy that would hop onto the right wing or the left wing because he knows it's the same bird after all. And I believe if you think a layer deeper, what Joy Behar tried is the exact tactic that so much of the corporate media uses every day. They start from a logical premise you never agreed to and shove you down a slippery slope that's impossible to walk back from. It's the kind of slimy tactics of a used car salesman, just assuming the sale and asking you follow-up questions in hopes you just go along with the assumption. Because as far as I've seen, Matthew McConaughey has a much more nuanced political position on the Second Amendment than someone like Joy Behar can process. And instead of calling himself anti-gun, whatever that means, he chooses to use the word gun responsible instead.
We heard from so many people, right? Families of the deceased, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, Texas Rangers, hunters, Border Patrol, and responsible gun owners who won't give up their Second Amendment right to bear arms. And you know what they all said? We want secure and safe schools, and we want gun laws that won't make it so easy for the bad guys to get these damn guns. We need responsible gun ownership. Responsible gun ownership. We need background checks. We need to raise the minimum age to purchase an AR-15 rifle to 21. We need a waiting period for those rifles. We need red flag laws and consequences for those who abuse them. Responsible gun owners are fed up with the Second Amendment being abused and hijacked by some deranged individuals. These regulations are not a step back. They're a step forward for a civil society and the Second Amendment.
Now, how do you box this guy into a singular position on this issue? Because with what he just said there, I'm sure he upset both ends of the extreme. And that's actually the best place to be in your politics. Plus, why saddle someone like Matthew McConaughey with dumb political takes when he's got a far bigger impact outside of the circus of politics? At least that's the feeling I got when I heard him talk about the importance of masculinity and fatherhood in society.
Being a dad was the only thing that I ever knew I wanted to be.
Oh,
I knew that at 8 years old. I remember shaking hands with my dad's friend who he would introduce me to, and he was a big sirs and ma'ams man. And I noticed that everyone I would say yes, sir, to over the years when I was 8, was like, oh, the one thing that's common is they're all fathers. Maybe that's why I'm calling them sir. And I was like, that's my aspiration. That's when you become a sir as a man. And that was my idea when I was 8, and I still believe it in a lot of ways. So, look, as y'all know, those of you who have children, you find out that DNA means a lot more than you thought it did after you have a kid. They come out who they are.
Are they like you?
In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And they're all very particular and different as well.
They're all
So we
different.
shepherd them along as parents with an environment that does matter a lot. But boy, they are who they are.
Yeah.
The same things I was writing about their peculiarities when they were 2. They match with who they are, what I'm writing about them today.
I'm sure that went over their head, because that's what happens when you lose all touch of the real world inside your little echo chamber. It's incredible to me how The View has been propped up by ABC for over 30 years at this point, even as the corporate media loses all its trust and relevance. But if you're ready to see someone be a lot harsher on Joy Behar, watch here what Kid Rock revealed to Tucker Carlson about his clash with The View, and subscribe to Elites Exposed for more.